Why rejection hits so hard? Not just because it hurts, but because it shatters the mirror. And what's left behind is the truth man was trying to outrun. Men don't know who he is without her reflection. There's a quiet obsession that defines modern masculinity. You see it in the swipe of a dating app, in the gym mirror, in heartbreak songs blasted at 2 a.m., in the way men stare, message, chase, and collapse. It's not just about sex, it's about approval, attention, validation. On the surface, it looks like love, but underneath, it feels like addiction. Because this isn't about women, it's about what's missing in men. Somewhere along the way, men were taught to believe they are nothing without a woman, that their worth is measured not by who they are, but by who desires them. She replies, and you feel seen. She ignores, and you feel invisible. She smiles, and your heart races. She leaves, and your world collapses. Why? Why is your self-worth tied to someone else's gaze? This isn't desire, it's dependency. A dependency that hides behind romantic gestures. A craving disguised as care. A hunger so deep, it turns women into mirrors, and men into ghosts when those mirrors crack. But no one talks about it. Because to admit this truth is to break the myth of male strength. To confess that behind the stoic face, the confidence, the flirtation, is a boy still waiting to be enough. We call it love, but maybe it's a wound, one that starts long before the first heartbreak, long before the first rejection, one carved by a culture that told you, you are incomplete without her. This script isn't about blaming women. It's not about bitterness or anger. It's about liberation, because the real prison isn't rejection. It's the belief that you were never whole to begin with. So the question is not why men want women. It's why so many feel they need them, just to feel real. And to answer that, we have to go back to the one man who stepped out of the chase and into freedom. In a world where men built empires to be remembered, Diogenes chose to vanish. While others climbed social ladders and courted power, he slept in the streets. While philosophers debated in marble halls, he lived in a barrel. While kings commanded armies to win admiration, Diogenes asked for only one thing: to be left in peace. He had no status, no wealth, no romantic legacy, and yet his shadow stretches across thousands of years. Diogenes wasn't against pleasure, he simply saw through it. He believed that desire wasn't a gift, it was a leash. And most men never stop chasing, not because they're passionate, but because they're trapped. If she stopped seeing you tomorrow, would you still see you? Hold that question. It changes everything. If you really want to understand why, stay with me. We'll uncover the answer later in this video. Men want wealth to be admired, muscles to be desired, status to be respected. But Diogenes exposed the lie underneath it all. The things we chase are often chasing us. You think you own your desire, but it owns you. It dictates what you wear, how you speak, who you pursue, and what you fear. It builds your identity on someone else's gaze. And once you become dependent on that gaze, you lose yourself. Diogenes didn't play that game. He rejected the theater of male performance. He didn't need a woman to validate his masculinity. He didn't need followers to prove his worth. He didn't need a title to feel powerful. He was content in a barrel because that barrel was his. Not given, not earned, chosen. He wasn't without options. He was without illusions. And in doing so, Diogenes asked a question that few men ever dare to face. What would you become if you stopped needing to impress anyone at all? This is where the story begins, not with desire, but with the decision to no longer be enslaved by it. You wanted to feel like you mattered, so you looked for someone who could confirm that you did. You wanted to be enough, so you chased someone to tell you that you were. That's how it starts. Not with lust, but with longing. Long before the first crush, long before the first kiss, there was a silent ache. The ache of not feeling chosen, of being invisible, of not knowing where your worth came from, only that it was missing. For many men, that ache begins in childhood. Not always in trauma, but in absence. A father emotionally distant, a mother overbearing or unavailable, a world that praised strength but mocked sensitivity. So you grew up believing your emotions made you weak, that being vulnerable was shameful, that needing connection was unmanly, until one day a girl smiled at you. And for the first time, you felt seen. That's when the mirror was born. She became the reflection that proved you were lovable, attractive, significant, not because of who she was, but because of what she gave you. Evidence that you existed. And that's the trap. Because when a man builds his self-worth on someone else's validation, he doesn't fall in love with the person. He falls in love with the reflection. He stares into her eyes, not to know her, but to see himself. When the mirror smiles, he feels alive. When it turns away, he feels erased. So he clings, chases, begins to define his masculinity by how desired he is, how wanted, how chosen. It becomes a cycle. The compliments hit like dopamine. The silence feels like death. And no matter how confident he appears, it's all hanging on a thread, her approval. But the problem isn't her, and it was never really about her. It was about needing her to be the proof that he matters. The problem isn't the mirror, it's needing one in the first place. Because no one else can give you the thing you never learned to give yourself, a sense of worth that doesn't collapse when no one's watching. Until a man finds that, every relationship is just a reflection. Every romance, a performance. And every heartbreak, a revelation. Not about love, but about self. From the moment you could understand a story, the world began whispering something into your mind. That one day you would find her, your soulmate, your other half. The missing piece to your puzzle, the one who would make you whole. She might be asleep in a tower, or waiting in a coffee shop, or walking into your life when you least expect it. And when she does, everything will change. That's the fantasy. It's printed in fairy tales, packaged in rom-coms, embedded in every love song. And whether you realize it or not, it shaped you. It taught you to search outside of yourself for what you could never seem to find within. Purpose, confidence, peace. But here's the problem. When you believe someone else is your missing half, you stop trying to become whole on your own. You begin to crave, not just love, but salvation. You don't want partnership. You want rescue. This is the myth of the savior woman. The belief that once she loves you, the broken parts of you will finally be fixed, that her attention will heal your wounds, that her affection will erase your shame. But it doesn't, because that kind of dependence doesn't lead to intimacy. It leads to obsession. You try to be perfect. You mold yourself to be what she wants. You tolerate disrespect. You become anxious when she pulls away because you weren't chasing her. You were chasing security, and now it's gone. That's when desperation sets in, and desperation kills desire. What began as romance ends in resentment, because she didn't save you, because she couldn't, because that was never her job. Diogenes saw through this myth centuries ago. He didn't hate women. He rejected the idea that he needed one to be whole. He didn't want someone to complete him. He wanted to be complete before he loved anyone at all. He chose solitude not out of bitterness, but out of freedom. Freedom from the script, freedom from the lie. Because once you believe you are not enough on your own, love becomes a transaction and your value becomes negotiable. But wholeness is untouchable. Diogenes didn't walk away from women, he walked away from need. And in doing so, he reclaimed something most men never even realize they've lost. The right to be enough all by yourself. You thought it was about attraction, you thought it was about love, you thought it was about her, but it wasn't. It was about something deeper, something older, something you didn't even realize was missing. Men don't chase women because of lust alone. They chase because of lack of meaning, lack of direction, lack of identity. They say they want her attention, her body, her love. But what they're really chasing is something she was never meant to give them. Significance. It's not about sex. It's about being seen, about mattering, about finally feeling like someone, anyone, thinks you're enough. When a man feels invisible in the world, he will often try to become visible in her eyes. He will build his life around being desired, not because he wants her, but because he's terrified of who he is without that desire. And so he projects. He projects power onto her approval, confidence onto her compliments, purpose onto her presence. She becomes the symbol of everything he believes he lacks: validation, certainty, importance. But that's the lie, because no matter how many women desire him, it will never silence the voice inside him that says, "You are nothing on your own." It's not about the girl. It's about the ghost, the one whispering that you're too small, too weak, too forgettable. And when you believe that ghost, you become addicted to the illusion of being enough, even if it only lasts for a night. But here's the brutal truth. No woman, no matter how beautiful, will ever heal the shame you refuse to face. She cannot give you the worth you won't give yourself. She cannot build an identity around your brokenness, because that isn't love. It's dependency dressed as devotion. It's need pretending to be romance. And it's why the obsession never satisfies. You chase her, but it's not really her you're chasing. You're chasing yourself. The version of you hope she'll reflect. The version that feels worthy, powerful, real. But that version can't be found in her eyes. It can only be built, slowly, painfully, and without applause, from within. Until then, every conquest will feel empty. Every connection, hollow. Every kiss, a reminder that you're still not whole. Because you weren't looking for her. You were looking for meaning and mistaking her for a mirror. When a man feels powerless in the world, he doesn't disappear. He redirects that powerlessness into obsession. He can't control the economy. He can't control his status. He can't control his future. So instead, he tries to control the one thing that seems within reach: her. Her attention becomes his scoreboard. Her loyalty becomes his territory. Her rejection becomes a threat to his entire identity. But it's not really about her. It's about the feeling he's been running from his entire life: powerlessness. The more he feels weak, the more he clings. And the more he clings, the more he fears losing what he's gripping. This fear turns into jealousy, into control, into obsession masked as love. But beneath it all is an emotional void society taught him never to name. We raise boys to be tough, but we never teach them how to feel. We hand them strength, but no tools to understand their sadness, their fear, their longing. So when those feelings rise, they don't go inward. They go outward, toward women, toward validation, toward the illusion of power through possession. He tells himself, if I can just have her, I'll matter again. But that's a lie born of a world that taught him women are the reward for survival, not partners in it. And the machinery behind this illusion is everywhere. Marketing tells him he'll be wanted if he buys the right cologne. Dating culture tells him he's worthless if he's not chosen. Social media reminds him every second that someone else has what he doesn't. Loneliness becomes a market. Insecurity becomes a business. And obsession becomes predictable. Diogenes saw this for what it was: not love, not desire, but dependency. He didn't run from women. He ran from the idea that he needed them to feel whole. He understood the most dangerous kind of man isn't the one who feels nothing. It's the one who has no identity outside of who he's chasing. You either master yourself or you become addicted to someone else. And in that addiction, you don't lose her. You lose you. Diogenes didn't hate love. He didn't resent women. He didn't declare war on desire. He simply refused to kneel before it. He walked away, not from connection, but from the illusion that he needed it to be complete. He didn't choose solitude because he lacked options. He chose it because he saw what no one else dared to see. That need is the most seductive form of slavery, and that's the spell most men are under. The belief that needing someone proves your love. That longing is romantic. That obsession is devotion. But it's not. It's emptiness, disguised as passion. It's a hunger that says, without her, I'm nothing. Diogenes shattered that lie. He exposed it for what it really was: a way for men to escape themselves, to outsource their purpose, to rent their worth through another person's gaze. But freedom doesn't live in someone else's arms. It begins the moment you stop needing to be held just to feel whole. His message wasn't "don't love." It was "don't worship." Don't place someone on a pedestal and call it romance. Don't confuse validation for meaning. Don't chase someone to escape the truth you're afraid to face. Because love isn't meant to fill a void. It's meant to share a fullness. But if you don't have that fullness already, all you'll ever offer is dependence, and all you'll ever feel is fear. Diogenes didn't reject connection. He just refused to make it a condition for existence. So the question is no longer, do you want her? The question is, do you want yourself first? Because until you do, desire will rule you, obsession will define you, and the mirror will keep breaking. Reclaim your desire. Don't be ruled by it. Choose love, not to be saved, but to share your freedom. That's the difference, and that's what Diogenes died knowing. This was never about her. It was about you, and the parts of you you abandoned to be chosen. Diogenes didn't teach men to reject love. He taught them to reject dependence. You don't need her to see you. You need to see you, to stand in your own sunlight without begging for warmth. Because once you do, the obsession dies, the chase ends, and what's left is not emptiness, but clarity. This is not the death of desire. It's its rebirth, not an escape from love, but a return to power.